Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another video. As you guys can tell, this is going to be my February forecast here for 2020, and it's actually going to be a very exciting video as well. But I want to thank you guys so much for all the support within the past couple of days. We are already almost at 2,050 subscribers. It really means a lot. And again, we're going to be focusing on this whole video about all of the month of February and what you can expect in your area. We're going to be looking at precipitation, temperatures, and then the general forecast. And you guys are probably wondering why I didn't do this early in January. I just wanted to have this out on the first day of February, so you guys just had a general closer look instead of having this out on mid-January or something like that. But again, be sure to share the channel to any friends or family that you think will love my daily weather forecast, or that you think want to know what to expect in their February. Again, guys, this is not going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to be exactly what most meteorologists or most people are to expect here in February. And again, these are my own maps. But again, be sure to subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. So we are going to be looking at the national, or not the national weather. We're going to be looking at the precipitation here. This is going to be the first map, and we're going to be looking at below average or above average precipitation. Again, this is snow, rain, freezing rain, any type of precipitation. But again, we're going to be focusing on the slightly above average precipitation first. We have the East Coast, and then we have the West Coast. So we're going to be starting off with the Pacific Northwest. Not many people are actually putting this on their February forecast. I've been looking at other people's February forecast and all that, and not many people have had that, but I'm putting a slightly above average precipitation in the Pacific Northwest, and again the Northwest, because we're going to be seeing this pattern change continue into February that we saw in January. We saw up to a foot of rain within 1 week in the Pacific Northwest from multiple low pressure systems that brought a ton of rain, including snow, but a ton of rain, especially throughout the areas in Oregon and Washington. I feel like that's going to continue to happen as we get into February, and I feel like we're going to have a lot more precipitation in the Pacific Northwest to cause these storms like we're going to be seeing with this potential winter storm Lamont starting in the Pacific Northwest and making its way to the east. That's what I think is going to cause a lot more precipitation, causing more major winter storms. So that's why I have slightly below average there. And then we have another area slightly below average precipitation. That's all the way from Texas all the way to Connecticut. I put that there because, again, we're going to be seeing, there's a big feeling that we're going to have a lot more nor'easters. Again, we were supposed to see this in January, but it was a bit warmer than expected in February. It really looks like it's going to have a lot more precipitation, not necessarily below average temperatures, but above average precipitation, which is going to cause a lot of rain, especially out here into the Florida area. And that's why we actually have the generally moderately above average precipitation in the dark green. In the southeast, that's where we're going to be seeing these nor'easters form. It's going to bring a lot of severe weather, a ton of storms, and just a ton of rain. Again, we're going to be about to see up to a ton of rain for like 5 days straight later next week from just one potential storm. So again, it's going to happen a lot more frequently, especially if temperatures are warmer. It's going to cause a lot more storms, especially out here into the south central and southeast. But again, this slightly above average or slightly above average precipitation will move all the way down to the New England area due to the nor'easters moving up the Atlantic coast and bringing either rain or snow, and possibly even both. And now we'll be focusing on the slightly below average precipitation that's actually having area out here into the Midwest and plains. Yes, I'm not saying there's not going to be snow in these areas. It's just going to be less precipitation than expected. So let's say you see 30 inches of precipitation, for example, in Missouri, and maybe you just get 22 this month. Again, guys, I'm not saying you're not going to see snow, rain, anything. It's just going to be slightly this can be slightly less rain or slightly less snow. So again, you can't really assume it's going to be slightly less snow because it can possibly mean either of those three. So, and it's going to be for the Midwest and plains, but we're still going to have potential major blizzards and major snowstorms move up the Midwest, like we're going to be seeing with Winter Storm Lamont. And that's what we usually see in the February fork and February. That's usually what we see, this type of pattern this time of year. And then we do have a below average precipitation out here into the southwest now. And again, that's really what we've been expecting this whole winter. Again, it's going to be very dry and possibly warm in these areas. Definitely going to continue to see these warmer temperatures. Again, we could possibly see a couple cold fronts moving in the southwest, and the west there's not going to be enough cold air to make make February or the whole month below average. But again, I'm not saying you guys are not going to see any precipitation or anything. It's just we're going to be seeing less precipitation. But now we are going to be looking at the temperature outlook here, and this is actually one of my favorite maps out of this whole thing. And again, so again, we're going to be focusing on the below average temperatures here. This is in the slightly below average temperatures, which is in the light blue. That's going to be a lot more widespread all the way from the Pacific all the way to the Atlantic. And I feel like we're definitely going to have a lot of cold fronts to come in throughout much of the northern U.S. areas, from all the way from Maine to, like I said, Washington. It's going to be generally the northern part of the U.S., so it's kind of splitting in half, not west to east, but north to south with this type of pattern. Again, we're definitely going to be seeing some cold fronts move to the southeast, like I said, southwest, but not going to be on an everyday basis or every week basis. Against, we're going to be seeing averagely for the whole month, because we're going to be seeing more frequent cold fronts, again, possibly Arctic blasts, but in the slightly below average temperatures, that's where we're going to be seeing colder temperatures, but possibly the weaker side of the cold front, or not as cold average wise. Again, that's going to be from Washington, the plains, the Midwest, and possibly off the Great Lakes, and then eventually the New England area, and then throughout just much of the central and eastern and western part out there with no colors. That's where we can be seeing possibly both warm and cold throughout the month, or just most of the time just staying between average. Again, it's most likely you're going to be seeing on and off cold and warm if you're in no colors. And then and actually I forgot to see the moderately below average temperatures. That's going to be for the northern Rockies and actually the northern plains. And I actually put a second shade there in the far north central part of the United States, because that's where we're going to be seeing major Arctic blasts that won't come all the way down into the plains. It's going to just stay there, where we could be seeing possibly 20 to 30 degrees below average, maybe once or twice this month, and then a lot less cold fronts, but more frequently, and that's going to be all the way in the Rockies, but they're not going to come all the way down to the plains. So it's gonna, those cold fronts are going to come down to the U.S. for a little bit, all the way down up there, and then go back to Canada. And then for the above average temperatures and slightly above average temperatures, in like the light type of orange color there, yellow and orange color, that's going to be all the way from the Pacific, like I said, all the way to the Atlantic. Again, this is going to be more for the southern part of the United States there, from coast to coast. And we're going to be seeing basically just the deep southeast, south central, not going to be as warm as January, not necessarily at some points. We're going to be mostly warm for the south central, again, mostly for the Gulf Coast south central, not like Arkansas or Oklahoma, and then that will move all the way down to the southwest, where you can continue to see a lot warmer temperatures, and especially for the eastern part where we have the warmer temperatures, that's where it will cause a lot of more precipitation, either with some nor'easters developing, or either just when it's snowing. It's, for example, the plains, and it's warmer in the southeast, like most of the time, it's just going to cause a lot more storms, and that's going to be due to all the moisture and then the warmth meeting with each other. And then for the moderately above average, that's for a little small area in the southwest, and as for Southern California, Southern Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico, that's where we'll be seeing possibly the warmer temperatures really originating and just staying there a lot longer, and this could be possibly just a bit more above average temperatures. And now we are going to be looking at the general forecast here, and again, as you can tell, we have a ton of colors here, and we're going to be focusing on, let's start with the storms. So in the dark green, we have storms. Again, that's, you're probably thinking, why is it separate from the severe weather? Well, storms necessarily is heavy rain and possibly small thunderstorms. When it comes to severe weather, that's very strong thunderstorms and potentially tornado outbreaks. But with these storms, it's just going to be possibly a heavy rain, maybe a thunder or two, but going to be mostly just heavy rain. Again, that's going to be all the way from the areas in southern Kentucky, much of the southeast, and then for the Gulf Coast. Sorry, guys. And then throughout central and southern Texas. And then for the red, we do have severe weather. That's going to be mostly when it comes to snowstorms being formed just into the plains or Midwest. That's where we're going to be seeing a ton of severe weather outbreaks that we saw with multiple storms like Jacob, Gage, Cade, all those storms earlier into January and December. These all brought a ton of severe weather threats, and even brought a tornado not far from me. And again, That's going to be mostly where we have severe weather. Again, not going to be see the worst severe weather to the Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina area. It's going to maintain the South Central. And again, I'm not saying that's why we're going to be seeing storms east and west of that, because that's where we'll be seeing the storms from the severe weather, but it's not as bad. And then we have a little pink area that's going to be for northern Georgia, and that's going to be for much of the Appalachians, and then some areas into the North Carolina and Virginia area. And possibly, again, it's going to be mostly for the Appalachians, but it's going to be also for areas just outside the Appalachians, like areas there within Salem and all the way to Virginia Beach. That's where we're going to be seeing some ice. And what I mean with some ice, that's going to be mostly from the nor'easters. Let me actually use my EpiPen here for a quick second. So again, we're going to be seeing, let's say the nor'easters start right here. Going to bring in a lot of storms and severe weather. And as it moves more up, either goes this way or this way, it's going to have we're going to have colder temperatures as you go up the Atlantic coast. So that's definitely going to cause possibly ice out here into the areas where it could be a lot colder. Again, that's typically we have a ton of ice. Again, usually you have the ice starting over here to the nor'easters, but again, it's going to possibly be bringing wintry precipitation a bit more to the south. And then as we go up the east coast, that's where we'll have the nor'easter snow. So you can see pattern storms, ice, and then snow. So that's typically in, I'm actually going to be in the ice. I'm actually in the some ice area. And again, for the purple, we have nor'easter snow. That's going to come all the way from the Virginia area all the way up into the main into the main coast. So that's going to be for our areas into the mid-Atlantic, northeast, and New England area. Again, that's typically from the northeastern coast and New York City. We can possibly see some more snow for DC, Charleston, Atlantic City, Gulf out there near Boston. That's where we can be seeing potentially some more nor'easters, and there's even a chance for a major nor'easter later next week, and that's just in the first week of February. And now for the white, that's actually we have a huge and long, probably one of my longest regions out here on one of my ever preliminary forecast maps. That's all the way from Colorado to Maine. That's where we have the blizzard potential, and February is probably the month where we have the most amount of blizzards. And when it comes to early March, we also have major blizzards. It's kind of like typically really late winter when it comes to blizzard potential. And again, like we're about to see with Windstorm Lamont, or soon to be Blizzard Lamont, it's going to take this exact same pattern, going to form to the western Rockies and Sierras and make its way east. And like I said, it's going to dip down to the southwest a little bit, and then create a huge potentially track for some type of blizzard. That's going to really, I feel like we're going to have either one or in between one or three blizzards, major blizzards that are going to take this same track that's on the white all the way from the Rockies through the plains, southern Midwest, and then potentially affecting the Great Lakes and all the way up to the Maine area. And that's going to be typically into the Great Lakes side of the Northeast, not the northeastern coast where we have the nor'easter snow. But again, I just have a really good feeling that we're going to have a great potential for blizzard in the area. And then for the blue, we do have cold at times. That's for far northeastern Tennessee, areas into the southern Ohio Valley, and the Ozarks. So kind of surrounding the areas of Tennessee and southern Kentucky, where it will be a bit warmer. And again, we're not saying if you're in the storms or severe weather, we're not saying you're not going to get cold at any point. I'm just saying, that's where we're going to be seeing mostly storms. Again, that's the typical what we're going to be seeing the most out of February. So that's why you're under storms. And then we'll have cold at times just north of it. That's where you could possibly see some maybe snow flurries, snow showers moving in the areas. And then for the gray, we actually have normal. Again, that's where we could be seeing either dry, snowy, possibly severe weather, storms, possibly even blizzards. Again, that's going to be mostly in between all of those. So it's not just a flip-flop where it's in between one or two. It's going to be in between a ton. And then the orange, we do have dry. That's all the way from the areas near southwestern Texas, all the way down up there and into northern California. Again, it's going to be very dry in these areas. Not many precipitation unless you're right there in the Sierras. But even though it's still going to be dry and below average precipitation, and the really ugly, that dark kind of red type of brownish color, that's where you have a warm, and that's going to be throughout the southwestern area. And then for the purple, for the pink, we do have frequent cold and snow. Like I said, that's where we're going to be seeing these cold fronts really originating throughout southern Canada, and then it could possibly bring that snow right into the Midwest, Great Lakes, Plains, or Northern Plains. And then for the light blue, we have mountain snow. And this is the same thing with the blizzard potential. We're going to have the mountain snow forming in the light blue, like we are seeing right now with Lamont. And then that's going to move east and create the blizzard potential. And then again, it's going to start as a major mountain snow. It's most likely going to start being named over in the mountain snow before it gets into that white area, that white region. And then for the Pacific Northwest, we have the cold rain. That's including why we have slightly above average precipitation in the area. It's going to be very cold rain, and I would not doubt if we have some more snow heading for the Portland, Seattle area. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do apologize if it was a bit longer than usually my monthly forecast, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I hope it helps you guys plan for what's to come February, and I hope it's really accurate. But yeah, bye guys.